Hi there everybody, this is Dave Dubeau, publisher of Canadian Profits, here with another episode of Canadian Profits TV. As you can see, we're back here in the bright yellow FJ Cruiser, cruising around beautiful Kamloops, BC. I got my man Wagner here beside me, riding shotgun. So it's September the 15th today. We survived the 10th anniversary of 9/11, thank goodness. I was a little bit worried about that. But great to see that nothing tragic happened on that and people could celebrate that and remember that the way it should be. So what's coming up this week? Well, on this week's episode, for your business breakthroughs, I'm going to be talking about, speaking of video, doing video testimonials and the power of that for your business. For our real estate tips, we're going to be looking at vendor take-back financing. What does that mean? What's that all about? And for our mindset minute, we'll be looking at eating the frog. That's a term I learned from Brian Tracy. That sounds kind of gross, but it makes a lot of sense, so stay tuned. All right, here we are with our business breakthrough for this week. So I want to talk to you about doing video testimonials. And video testimonials are by far the strongest testimonials that you can get. Why is that? Because they're so much more believable. We've all seen situations where you'll see a testimonial, maybe it's written, so I think Dave Dubeau is the greatest guy, and it's John M. from Saskatoon. Well, how do you know if that's a real testimonial or something that I just made up? If you get a video testimonial, on the other hand, it's much more genuine, especially if you get permission to use the people's names and where they live. Very, very powerful. Here's a few tips for them. First of all, always carry around a very simple little video camera with you. So it can either be something like a flip camera, which this is my favorite. Why? Because it's drop dead simple. One red button. That's how you turn it on and turn it off. Basically, start it and stop it with one red button. Hard to mess up. If you got a good phone, you can do your video with your telephone if you got that capability. Whatever. The thing is to have it handy. The other thing is, don't worry about trying to have perfect testimonials. In fact, if they're a little bit messed up, that's even better, because if they look too slick, if they look too rehearsed, again, there's the believability quality there too. So don't worry if the people that you're talking to look a little bit nervous, they splutter a little bit, it's all okay. So that's your business breakthrough. Use video testimonials all the time. Take care. All right, so for this week's real estate tips, speaking of real estate, this is beautiful downtown Kamloops. Wanted to get out and about a little bit today. It's a gorgeous day. We're making up for the crappy weather we had in July, so thank goodness for September, and I hope it lasts right till the end of the month. Real estate tip this week, talking about VTBs. What does that mean? Vendor take back financing. So maybe you've heard of that before, but you're not sure exactly what it is. Well, vendor take back financing is when the seller of a property either holds the entire mortgage for you or holds a second mortgage for you when you're purchasing the property. So where would this be used? Typically it's with for sale by owner type properties where you're dealing directly with the seller. So if the seller has a lot of equity in the property, they can do, if they're willing to do it, they can do a vendor take back financing for you. So how does that work? Well, in the best case scenario, they own the property outright, they don't need the cash right away, and they can hold the entire mortgage for you for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever you can negotiate. That's the ideal situation. However, to be honest with you, it hardly ever happens, except sometimes with smaller properties like mobile homes, things like that, that are a lot lower in the price range. The other way that it can work, which is actually the way I bought my home, is where the vendor holds part of the financing or does part of the financing for you. So when I purchased my home back in, when was it, 2005, I had just got my business up and running. I'd had it for a couple of years. I just barely squeaked in and qualified for a mortgage, but it wasn't very good rates and that sort of thing. And I didn't want to pay the CMHC fees. So I negotiated a deal with the seller. They held a second mortgage, I believe, for $40,000 or $45,000 for 4 years, I think it was, at a certain interest rate. And in fact, it was only, we arranged it so it was just interest payments. I didn't have to pay any principal on that. And then at the end of the 4 or the 5 years, when I remortgaged the house, I cashed them out and they were done. Win-win situation. They got They got their full price for the house. They got ongoing interest income on that money, and they got a balloon payment at the end. Helped me get into the house without having to do CMHC high ratio financing and paying for CMHC insurance as well. So that's your real estate tip for today. Anytime you can get VTBs, vendor take back financing, that's an awesome thing. Take care. All right, and to wrap things up today with our Mindset Minute, I want to talk about eating the frog. Now, what does that mean? Well, my good man Wagner actually says that this is also a Portuguese expression, and it means doing something you don't really want to do, hence eating a frog. With a name like Dubeau, maybe it's not such a bad thing. Hey, us French guys, sometimes we like frogs' legs. Never had one myself, but always willing to try something. But basically, Wagner's right. Eating the frog means doing something you don't particularly want to do. I first kind of heard about this concept from Brian Tracy, phenomenal sales trainer, phenomenal motivational speaker, good Canadian fellow as well. And he talks about eating the frog first thing in the morning. So every day, most of us start off with our list, our to-do list of things to do. And what happens quite often? If we go with our natural tendency, we like to check things off the list. We like to do the easy stuff first and save the hard stuff for the end. Well, that's exactly the wrong thing to do. What Brian suggests, what I suggest as well, is tackle your toughest, your most unpleasant task first, the thing you really don't want to do. Go ahead, do it, get it over with, eat the frog, and move on to the easier stuff after that. That's your Mindset Minute for this week. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV here from lovely downtown Kamloops. We're actually on the train bridge right now that goes over the, I believe it's the Canadian Pacific railway tracks right here. And this week's episode is brought to you by the upcoming live online event, free online event that I'm going to be doing with my good friend and our contributing writer, Peter Kinch. It's called Creating Your Winning Real Estate Investment Strategy. Now, Peter Kinch is Canada's #1 mortgage broker. He's been in the business for many years. He focuses exclusively on real estate investors. He's trained thousands of investors over the years. He's a best-selling author, definitely knows his stuff. And on this event, we're going to show you everything you need to know to create your winning real estate investment strategy. Why is this important? Because if you don't have a strategy, you're setting yourself up for failure. And Peter's going to take us step by step on how to create a strategy that'll work for you and a 5-year action plan to get from where you are right now to where you want to be with your real estate investments. So check it out. That's at CanadianProfitsWebinar.ca. There should be a link to go straight there below this video. Otherwise, check it out at CanadianProfitsWebinar.ca. Look forward to seeing you on the webinar next Tuesday, September the 20th, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific. If you can't be on the live webinar, but you're interested in it, go ahead, register anyhow. That way we'll let you know about a webinar, about a replay of the webinar. All right, hope you have a great week. Talk to you soon. Take care.